Hey everyone, this is my Argus the Unmaker healer guide, who is the final boss in the Antorus the Burning Throne raid. This is from the perspective of a holy paladin, but all healers can benefit from this video. This footage is based on normal mode, so LFR normal strategies are covered in here. As for heroic, there are some slight changes in phases 1 and 3, and I'm going to refer you guys to the Wowhead strategy that I linked in the description below, but you'll be able to gain a solid understanding of how this fight works mechanics-wise from the perspective of a healer from any level of difficulty when approaching this boss. And for holy paladins watching, I'm going to list my talents and legendaries that I used. For all other healers, you could skip ahead by clicking the show more in the description below. I wrote out timestamps for each part of this video for your viewing convenience, so I hope you guys enjoy. So here are the talents that I used in this fight. And these are the two legendaries that I used. Alright, so in phase 1, on the pole, the tanks faced him away, and the entire raid group stacked pretty closely behind him. Tortured Rage is a raid-wide damage ability, so having everybody stacked up really makes it nice for the healers to keep everybody healed. You'll greatly benefit the raid by using group heals right here. Drop Gift of the Sea and Gift of the Sky buffs in close proximity to your raid if you are afflicted with it, so that your raid members can easily choose which buff they want. If you are afflicted with Soul Blight, run directly behind the raid group to drop the debuff off so that when he casts Cone of Death, it gets covered up by the black fog. And speaking of Cone of Death, since you are all stacked up and moving together, it is easier for the entire raid to move as one complete unit to avoid this cone. It's a bit wider than a sidestep, and you do need to be prepared to move quite a little bit, so be alert and aware of that when Cone of Death is ready to drop. And that's pretty much it for phase 1. Once you get these strategies down, you just kind of rinse and repeat and keep going until start of phase 2. You'll notice the start of phase 2 when the entire room begins swirling like a giant shadow. Everyone needs to stack on top of Argus and prepare for phase 2. This will clear all of the death fog from the room. And once you enter phase 2, stack with your ranged again. He's going to spawn these giant swirly spirals called Sweeping Scythe. These will leave a very large, wide, and obvious blue and black marks across the floor. Avoid these, do not stand in them. Each time Argus reaches 100% energy, he's going to cast Soul Bursts on 2 players and Soul Bomb on another. The Soul Burst players need to move away from the raid and wait for it to detonate. Your raid leader will leave markers down for the players to run who are afflicted with Soul Burst. If you have Soul Bomb, this will be made very clear. It's a giant orb that will float above your head. In our case, X was the destination to run to if you were afflicted with Soul Bomb. That is because one of your tanks will be waiting there for you to help absorb the blow of this powerful debuff. Meet your tank at the designated location and wait for the Soul Bomb to expire. Other than that, keep repeating until he enters phase 3. Phase 3 will begin and 7 Arcane Masters will spawn, which you need to kill. All of them must be killed in order to progress to the next phase. The raid should be loosely stacked in somewhat of the middle of the room here so that you're all still in range of the healers. You should also be aware that there be cosmic beams and whatnot, so avoid standing in those too during this phase. Listen to your raid leader to see which adds are being focused on, and if you have any sort of downtime, don't be afraid to help DPS by dotting, throwing a hammer, or anything else to help out with the damage. Keep your raid members alive, there will be a lot going on. Remember to avoid standing in bad things and heal your raid members, and you'll be fine. Once they all die, you'll enter phase 4. So 2 things mark the start of phase 4. All of the adds from phase 3 have died, and Argus wipes the entire raid. After a little bit of RP, A&R will aid you by creating a Tree of Life. When ready, release your corpses and run to the tree. On your way to the tree, do not run into any adds. The tree will deplete each time a player uses it to resurrect, and once it disappears it will wither. Basically try not to die and abuse the powers of the tree. After it withers away, players can still resurrect, but must do so carefully as per the direction of the raid leader because it will cause a raid-wide stack called Withering Roots, which stacks up and will put a lot of strain on the healers over time. Healers can help heal the tree to try to keep it up, but once it does wither away for good, players will no longer be able to use it to res. Phase 4 is almost like a combination of all of the phases in one. There's a lot going on, so you have to be super alert where you are standing, what debuffs you are afflicted with, and when the right time to cast cooldowns are. We stacked up as we did in phase 2 behind the boss. Pay attention to Soul Burst and Soul Bomb debuffs again. Avoid Ember of Rage, blue swirls on the ground. Run away from giant blue circles that take up a significant amount of space. If for some reason you do die, which hopefully you won't, on your way to the tree in spirit form, collect any Mote of Titanic Power floating orbs around the room. It will help buff your raid with an ability called Titan Forge that Khaz'goroth helps you out with. Remember to avoid any ads whilst in this form as well. Again, there's a lot going on in this phase, but once you realize that it's basically a combination of all of his prior abilities, you can focus on your rotation, heal the group, DPS him down, and you'll be good to go. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up or let me know in the comments below. Feel free to subscribe to my channel for more videos or to see when I live stream. Also, feel free to let me know if you have any questions about this encounter too in the comments below. Thanks, and I'll see you guys very soon.